Hello Year 10. Today we're going to be learning about areas of rectangles. And as you can see below, I've got 4 circles illustrating your 4 learning objectives. So where it says L1, we'll be looking at finding the area and perimeter of basic rectangles. So in a sense, it's just revision of what you've done already. Learning objective 2, we'll be calculating areas of rectangles where you have decimals. Learning objective 3 will be problem solving. So it might be a case of you have 2 rectangles of the same area, one of the lengths is unknown and you have to find it. And learning objective 4 is problem solving, so all your worded type questions, okay? Right, now let's get started. Here's your do now task. I would like you to pause the video and have a go at these questions, please. Okay, welcome back. Right, so I envisage that you might have had trouble with the last question. Okay, so before we do that, here are your answers to the questions above. Okay, now what I would like you to do, please, if you look at the last question, we'll just have a little look through it. Okay, so here's the last question that we have, okay, which says, which is the greater distance? The perimeter, the perimeter of a square of side 9 centimeters, or the perimeter of a rectangle of sides 10 centimeter by 7 centimeter. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is recap over our definition of perimeter. Okay, so if I just draw a square like this, the perimeter is the total distance around the shape. And what we know is that each side is 9 centimeters. Okay, now to find the perimeter, you add up all the sides, and that would give you an answer of 36 centimeters. Now, the other way you can do this is to work out 4 lots of 9, which would also give you 36 centimeters. Okay, it's just a shorthand way of doing it. Now, if we look at the rectangle, we will look at properties of a rectangle in just a second today, but let's just envisage our rectangle. Now, we know in a rectangle, opposite sides are equal. So therefore, this side would be 10 centimeters. And this side, let's say, is 7 centimeters. Okay? So the perimeter, 2 ways you can do it, is to add the total distance around the shape. So that would be 10 plus 10 plus 7 plus 7, which would give you 34 centimeters. Another way you could do it is to double the lengths and widths and add them together. Okay, so 2 times 7 gives you 14, and 2 times 10 gives you 20. So when you add these together, you should get an answer of 34 centimeters as shown above. Okay? Right, so let's get on to area. So I would like you to copy down the date and title, please. Okay, so let's start with the definition of area. So the definition of area is the amount of space inside a two-dimensional shape. Okay, so if I were to draw any random two-dimensional shape, may as well do a rectangle, as that's what we're learning today, you will see that we're trying to work out what the space is here. Okay, now the common measurements that you'll need to use is area is in centimeters squared or in meters squared. Okay, you can have kilometers squared as long as whatever your units you have is squared. Okay, right, so if you look at the shapes below, I would like you to think about how you would find the area of these rectangles. Okay, so to find the area, we're working out the amount of space that we have inside the 2D shape. So if we take one square out, like this, we know that that is going to be a 1 by 1 centimeter square. Okay, so when we look at this shape, we have it's 2 centimeters across and 3 centimeters down. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares on the inside altogether. So therefore your area is 6 centimeters squared. Now, if we look at our second rectangle and count the squares that are on the inside, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, so the area of this shape would be 24 centimeters squared. Okay, now you might be thinking that this is quite a long way of doing it. Okay, so there is an easier way, and that is to look at the total length. Okay, so if each square is 1 centimeter across, in total we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 centimeters squares going across. Okay, so that's our length. Our width going downwards is 1, 2, 3, 4 centimeters downwards. Okay, so we could just work out 6 lots of 4. Lots just meaning times, which would also give us 24 centimeters squared. Okay, now have a think about how you would find the area of part C. Well, the area of part C is just going to be 7 lots of 2. Okay, and that's going to be 14 centimeters squared. Okay, right, so let's look at the properties of a rectangle, because we are going to problem solve and it's important that we know the area. So think about, what can you tell me about a rectangle? I'll just give you about 5 seconds to think about that. Okay, right, so properties of a rectangle. So opposite sides are equal, as indicated by these 2 lines. We also has 2 pairs of parallel sides, which I can indicate with an arrow on each side. Okay, these lines would never meet, that's why they're parallel. I can also indicate it with 2 arrows for the corresponding sides. Okay, so these 2 sides are going to be exactly the same. Okay, they're parallel, they run alongside each other. Okay, we also can see 4 right angles in a corner. It's part of the quadrilateral family, quad meaning 4. And it's got 4 straight sides, and therefore it's a polygon. Okay, and that is essentially it. Polygons you'll be learned. There are different types of polygons which we'll learn later on. Okay. Now the two formulas you need to remember is this. Okay. So we know that area is length times width, but in addition to that, if you double the length and double the width, you will, and add them together, you would also get a perimeter. Okay. So it might be worth just copying down this formula here. Okay, these two formulas, just so that it's easier for you to see what it is you need to do. Okay, right, I'm going to move on. If you do need more time, please go back and pause the video, and then you can obviously take more time to copy the formulas, okay? Right, what I would like you to do now is this, okay? So we're going to look at a couple of examples now, okay? I would like you to pause the video and copy down these two examples. Okay, right, so example number one, we want to work out the area of this rectangle, okay? So we know that the formula for the area is length multiplied by width, okay? And we know that the length is 9, the width is 4 centimeters, so the area is going to be 9 multiplied by 4, which is 36 centimeters squared, okay? I like to double underline my answers just to make it clear to the examiner, okay? Right, part B asks you to calculate the area of a square. Now, as we mentioned before, the reason why I've given you one length is because all the sides are exactly the same, okay? So all of them are going to be 6. So the area would just be 6 multiplied by 6. You can also say 6 squared. Okay, so the area is just 36 centimeters squared, okay? And double underline your answers so you can see. Right, let's go on to the second example. So you're going to get some questions to try now. Let's have a look. Right, so here are your questions. Pause the video and please have a go at these. Okay, so now that you've had a go, the area of the rectangle is simply 24 centimeters squared. Meters squared, sorry. I realise it says centimeters squared, but it should be meters squared. And for part B, I think that should say the same thing. No, part B is right. It's 49 meters squared. Okay, so just be careful of your units. Okay, so here's a second example. I'm going to ask you to pause the video and copy this down, please. Okay, right, so the information that you're given is that the area of this rectangle is 32 centimeters squared. And notice how I'm underlining my keywords, all right? And my aim is to calculate its perimeter. So in the end, I want to work out the perimeter of the whole thing in order to get my full marks in the exam. So the information I have is that the area of this rectangle is 32 centimeters squared. And I know that area is on the inside. So I'm going to write in the middle of the rectangle 32 centimeters squared. Okay? Now, I then write down what I know to find the area. Okay, so area is equal to length times width. That's my formula. And I know that if I do 4 times my value of x, I will get 32. Okay, so solving this equation gives us this. So if 4 times a number gives us 32, to work out what x is, we just do 32 divided by 4. So the value of x is 8 centimeters, okay? So I know now what my width is. Now, to find my perimeter, I can simply add all my sides up. Okay, so I can go, if this side is 4, I'm going to have 2 lots of 4. If this side now is 8 centimeters, I will also have 2 lots of 8. Okay, I can add these all up, or if I prefer, and this is the way I would prefer to do it, instead of doing 4 times 4 plus 4, I can just do 2 times 4, which is 8, and 2 times 8, which is 16. And these answers will then be easier to add up. So the perimeter will just be 8 plus 16, and that gives us 24 centimeters. Okay, which I can double underline. Okay, so in the exam, just to be clear, something like this would be 1 mark. Something like this, showing your workings, would be 2 marks. And to get your final answer, that would be worth about 3 marks. Okay? Right. Let's go on to a question. Okay, so have a go at this question, please, guys. Pause the video, have a go. Okay, well done for having a go. So let's see what the answer is. So you should have got the value of x to be 4 centimeters, and the perimeter is 36 centimeters. Okay, if you didn't get that right first time, you might want to go back and have another go. All right. All right, so here's another example. Can you copy this down, please? Good. Okay, just to reiterate, guys, when I say copy down these examples, you might want to pause the video first before you copy them down. Okay. Right. So let's see what we know. So we know what we've got a rectangle of 4.5 centimeters. Excuse me. This is going all over the place. Okay. So we know we've got a rectangle which is 4.5 centimeters. By 2.8 centimeters, and we need to work out the area. Okay, now from what we know, area is length times width, and that's where I'm always going to start. If I have a formula written down, I know exactly where I'm going. Okay, now in the exam, unfortunately, you may not have a calculator to do this type of question. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to work this out using long multiplication instead. All right, so firstly, the area would be 4.5 multiplied by 2.8. All right. So I'm not a fan of doing long multiplication with decimals. All right. So the way I do it is to take the decimals out by multiplying by 10. All right. So if I times that by 10, and this value here will be times by 10. All right, and I'm going to work out 45 multiplied by 28 instead. Okay, now in order to do this, I'm sure some of you would have been familiar with the Chinese box method. There's various ways of doing it, but I'm just going to stick with the Chinese box method for now. There we go. So join up the diagonals like this. Right, if your teacher's taught you another method, guys, please go ahead and use it. I will not be offended, I promise. So 45 multiplied by 28. I like to put 28 on this side because it's just easier and you don't have to get worried with your carrying. Right, I'll change my colour pen for this. Okay, so 4 times 2 is 8, which means you've got no tens and 8 units. 5 times 2 is 10, so that means you've got 1 10 and no units. 4 times 8 is 32, so you've got 3 tens and 2 units. And 5 eighths are 40, so you've got 4 tens and no units, okay? So when you add these up, you simply add the diagonals. I'm going to change colour again. So that's just going to be 0. 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 0 is still 6. 3 plus 8 plus 1 is 12, so I'm going to stick a 2 there, carry 1 inside the box, and 1 plus 0 is just 1, okay? So therefore, 45 times 28 would give us 1,260, okay? Now, just to be aware of something, if we do 4.5 times 10, we get 45. To go back to 4.5, we'd have to do the opposite of times by 10, which is divide by 10. Okay? So therefore, we have to do 45 times 28 is 1,260. If I just write that over here, use a black pen. Altogether, I've times by 10 and 10, which is 100. So I need to divide by 100. Okay, so 1, 2, my decimal point is going to be here. Okay, so the final answer, I'm just going to write it again down here, is 12.6 centimeters squared. Okay, and I will double underline that. Okay, guys, please pause this if you want to copy this down. This is quite a lot to take in, all right? And I'm going to give you a question to try. So have a go at this question, please. Okay, welcome back. Thank you for having a go. So if you had a go at this, you should have got an answer of 7.2 centimeters squared. Okay, well done if you got that. All right, example number 4. Can we copy this example down, please? Sorry. Okay. Right. So let's have a go at this. All right. So we're asked to calculate the perimeter and the area of the rectangle below. All right. And we're asked to give our answers in centimeters and centimeters squared respectively. Now, when you see this word here, what it means is you work out the perimeter first and then you work out the area. Okay, so centimeters corresponds to perimeter and centimeters squared is the measurement for area. Okay, now it's very tempting to dive into this calculation, but when you look at the rectangle, what do you observe? Well, what you can see is you've got a width of 3 centimeters and a length of 6 meters, okay? And in order to work out the area, you've got to make sure they're in the same units, okay? I can't just do 6 times 3 to work out the area. That's a common mistake, all right? Now, what I do know is that I can either make them both centimeters or both meters, okay? Now, let's see what we know. Now, from our earlier teachings, you should know that 1 meter is 100 centimeters, okay? So it makes more sense to turn 6 meters into centimeters because all I need to do is 6 times 100, all right? Which is 600 centimeters squared, okay? And another thing you could realize is that you always turn the bigger units into the smaller ones. That's one way you can actually remember this, okay? Now, Sorry, that's not centimeters squared. That's just 600 centimeters. Okay, so ignore that. Right. So now that we've got this, okay, we just work out. Easy to find the perimeter first. So let's just find the perimeter. Now to find the perimeter, it's just 600 plus 600 plus 3 plus 3. Okay, or you can double up and say that the 2 times 600 is 1200 and 2 times 3 is 6. So when you add them together, the perimeter is 1200 plus 6, which is 1206 centimeters. Okay, I will double underline that. That's one answer. Okay, now to find the area, it's just length times width. So the area is 600 times 3. So 6 times 3 is 18, with 2 zeros at the end. Okay, and that's in centimeters squared. Okay, so I will just underline that. Okay, and those are my 2 answers. Okay, let's give you a second to copy that down. Okay, so on the other page, guys, you're going to have a question to try. So have a go at this question over here, please. Okay, make them the same units first. Okay, pause and have a go. Okay, well done for having a stab at it. So the answer to this question is this. So I got the area as 2,800 centimeters squared, and the perimeter is 1,408 centimeters. Okay? Right, so here's a worksheet. Okay, I'd like you to pause the video and have a go at the worksheet. Each worksheet should take you no longer than 5 to 10 minutes. Okay? So here's the first one. Please pause and have a go. Okay, well done. Here's the second one. Please pause and have a go. Okay, brilliant. And I'm going to now give you the answers to these worksheet questions. So here you go. Right, okay, so that concludes the video. Please make sure that you go onto Frog and have a go at the questions that are assigned, because I will be checking on them. And it's very important as well that we do have a go at these guys, because I am going to. It's the only way I can find out what you struggle with, so that enables me to help you a little bit more with some of the questions. Okay. Take your time with it. Remember, don't rush. All right, it's not a race. No prizes for people who finish first. And I will see you on the next video.